What did you do last time that made it work?
Same thing.
Oh, live. We're good. Oh, thank God. Oh, okay. Oh, it's sideways. Can you make it non-sideways? Like this way? Look at how it is. I don't know why it's like that. Wait.
Just that there hasn't been any.
And then he'll get our first
If anybody wants to grab some seats and we'll get started. Okay, we'll get started. Hello everyone and welcome.
Bonjour and bienvenue.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Rob Vanderhooft.
And I'm Lois Vanderhooft. We are going to begin the ceremonies today. We want to thank you for being here. Rob and I are the co-chairs of the Capital Campaign, and we have most of our cabinet here represented today as well. It is our sincere pleasure to be here and to serve as your MCs today.
We would like to begin by acknowledging that we're gathered together today on Treaty 4 lands. Treaty 4 is the ancestral homes of the Anishinaabe, the Neha Awak, as well as the Oceti Chatawin nations, and as well as the homeland of the Métis.
We thank the Indigenous peoples for being the stewards of the land, and we will continue to honor the treaty relationship. We want to specifically acknowledge the strength and resilience of Indigenous women and recognize their ongoing leadership in the community building.
Just some housekeeping as well. We would like to let the media joining us today know that the speakers will be available for Q&A session following the speaking portion of the announcement. We'd like to acknowledge the dignitaries here, and normally at this point we would acknowledge by name all of the dignitaries, officials, and special guests gathered here. But as you can see, we have a very large crowd, so we hope you'll forgive us for the informality. I'd instead offer a warm greeting and heartfelt group welcome to all of you. We're so grateful for every special guest who has joined us today.
We want to thank our community partners. We want to thank the staff of the YWCA, the YWCA board, Capital Campaign, all of the donors. I want to acknowledge our Capital Campaign members, those who are here today. If you could please stand and give a wave. I see a couple sitting, there we go. Thanks so much. Here today to kick us off in formally announcing the beginning of the Centre for Women and Families on behalf of the federal government through Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation is the Honourable Ahmed Hussein, Minister of Housing, Diversity and Inclusion. The floor is yours, Minister Hussein.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Thank you very much, Rob and Louis, for the introduction. And I join you in, before I go any further, in acknowledging that we all gathered on Treaty 4 territory. And we thank Indigenous peoples of this land for allowing us to live and work on these lands. It is a pleasure to be here alongside my colleague from the province, Minister Makowski, as well as Mayor Masters, and our partners from the YWCA Regina, and of course Elder Diane Kaiswatum. Everyone here on this stage and in the crowd is a strong advocate for affordable housing, and without your tireless work we wouldn't be here today. So thank you to all of you for your role in making today happen, and thank you for standing up for your fellow community members and for your fellow residents of Saskatchewan to make sure that we continue to work hard to enable everyone to have a safe and affordable place to call home. Having a safe and affordable place to call home is crucial. It's crucial to the social and health well-being of Canadians. And our government understands this, and that's why we've stepped up and we've brought back federal leadership in housing through significant investments in the National Housing Strategy. In fact, right here in Regina, Minister Makowski has been kind enough to host us. We are meeting a few hundred meters from here, the Hotel Saskatchewan. We've been meeting as ministers responsible for housing in the federal government, the provinces, and the territories to talk about how we can work together more to make sure that each and every Canadian has a safe and affordable place to call home, and to build on the strong partnership and collaboration that we've established over the last number of years. And today is another great example of what we can achieve when we work together. And Canadians expect no less. So I'm really pleased to be back in Regina to announce that our government, the Government of Canada, is investing nearly $34 million for the construction. That we're investing $34 million to support the construction of the new YWCA Centre for Women and Families through our National Housing Co-Investment Fund. What will this money do? Once completed, this new center will include 108 transitional and supportive homes for women and children fleeing gender-based violence, and women and children who are experiencing homelessness or who are at risk of experiencing homelessness. And these units will also provide services, supportive services such as essential crisis and preventative supportive services. The new YWCA Centre for Women and Families will be a safe harbor, a safe place of refuge and safety for those who are most vulnerable in our community, and will include multi-purpose community spaces, access to drop-in supports and essential needs, and indoor and outdoor play areas. C'est un investissement important qui fera une différence positive dans la vie de nombreuses personnes. This will make significant positive contributions to all the residents who will call this place home. This center will allow, for example, a mother of two to have a safe bed to tuck her kids into at night without having to worry about where they will spend the next night. This investment will mean that, for example, a young woman will now have the supports that she needs to not only get back on her feet, but actually get ahead. That's what affordable housing can mean for people. It means the difference between just getting by and actually planning for a better future. And above all, this will be the opportunity to have a restart of their life so that they can dream again and build their lives. Avec ces investissements importants, notre gouvernement prend des mesures pour construire plus de logements abordables à travers le pays et pour soutenir nos plus vulnérables. By making investments like this one, our government, the Government of Canada, will always be there to take action to build more affordable housing across the country, especially for the most vulnerable members of our community. But that's not all we're doing. This is not the only announcement that I have made or will continue to make, hopefully, into the future. We're investing $121 million to build 430 supportive housing and transitional housing for women and children fleeing domestic violence. $1.5 billion more to build 6,000 new rapid housing homes across the country, including right here in Saskatchewan. This program has already created 10,250 permanent, deeply affordable homes across the country. 6,000 new co-op homes through $1.5 billion investment. These are just some of the measures we're taking. There's more and more investments that we're not only introducing as part of Budget 2022, but also bringing future year money to this year so that we can get more money out the door, so that we can help more people who need housing help now and not tomorrow. So as we know, one thing I want to highlight is that housing is a complex issue. And so it can't be solved by one government alone. The federal government has a role. I would argue that we have the lion's share of resources into affordable housing, but we need all orders of government to be there at the table, the provincial governments, the territorial governments, the municipal governments, the non-profit sector, for example, YWCA, and the private sector. We all need to focus on this because access to affordable housing is a human right. We're the first government in Canadian history to put that in legislation through the National Housing Act. that we recognize that each and every Canadian has a right to affordable housing. Affordable housing is not a luxury. It is a necessity to rebuild people's lives. Before I end, I'd really like to once again thank all of you for your continued advocacy and leadership at the community level, because without your support, without your vision, without your tireless advocacy and commitment, we wouldn't be here today. So, en travaillant ensemble, nous pouvons nous assurer que tout le monde est un chez soi sûr et abordable. I have no doubt that as these kinds of partnerships and this kind of community commitment continues to be in place, we will make more announcements like this and continue to help even more people who are the most vulnerable in our community, to provide them with a safe place to call home so that they can contribute and rebuild their lives. I have to say, I was remarking earlier, this is the largest turnout I have ever seen as a minister for an affordable housing investment. You keep this up, I'll keep coming back to Regina. Merci beaucoup.
How to follow that? That is unbelievable commitment to to our community and to the YWCA. So, Minister Hussein, thank you very much for that commitment. Joining us from the provincial government, Saskatchewan Social Services Minister and Minister responsible for the Saskatchewan Housing Corporation, the Honourable Jean Mikowski. Gino.
Hi everyone, thanks so much, Rob. What a wonderful day. Thanks for having me here. Good afternoon, and it's a real pleasure to say a few words on this important day on behalf of Premier Moe and the government of Saskatchewan. Of course, as we gather here in our capital city, Treaty 4 territory, home of the Métis. I know there's many special guests here. I think I see one of my colleagues, Mark Doherty, is joining us here. There may be a few others, excuse me if I miss out on you. So up on stage here, we see representatives from all our partners, as the minister said before. The Ministry of Social Services, the government of Saskatchewan does nothing alone. We work with our partners in the CBO sector, represented by, of course, the YWCA and Melissa up here, Minister Hussein, another partner, Mayor Masters. It's great to have you all here. And of course, the private sector, the Capital Campaign with Lois and Rob. So I'd like to begin by recognizing our partners at the YWCA Regina, who do incredible work developing housing and offering supportive services for women and children affected by domestic violence and homelessness. This important work helps build stronger families and communities, and I of course thank the YW for their commitment. They show people they help every day. The government of Saskatchewan recognizes that safe and affordable housing contributes to the health and well-being of our province. Alongside our community partners, we're working towards our goal to make affordable housing more accessible and support families in the greatest housing need. We're proud of this investment here today, which will help bring this incredible development to life and support women and children who are in vulnerable situations. The sod turning here today marks an important step forward in providing more supportive housing for people in need. This development will offer more than a safe, stable, and affordable home for women and children. It also serve as a foundation as they begin a healthier, brighter future for themselves and their families. The government's very proud to work with the YWCA on this innovative project. It will make a difference in the lives of mothers and their children in our city and our province, of course. Once again, I thank the YWCA Regina for the incredible work they're doing for families, and hearty congratulations on this achievement. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister Mikowski. We want to, can we announce what the provincial commitment is? No? Yes? Okay, thank you, sorry. No, that's fine. I know where I am, yeah. Sorry, I was just wondering if we could announce the commitment with the provincial government. We want to, sorry? We're good? Okay. We'd like to introduce the Honourable Worship, Mayor Sandra Masters, Mayor of Regina.
Good
afternoon, everyone, and welcome to beautiful Treaty 4 territory. On behalf of my council colleagues, and I see Councillor Hawkins in the audience, and on behalf of the City of Regina, I am so thrilled to be here for the groundbreaking ceremony for the YWCA Centre for Women and Families. Thank you to Ministers Hussein and Minister Mikowski for your attendance today, and the other MLAs that I can see in the audience. This project is such an incredible example of what happens when community and all levels of government come together with a common objective. We do know that Saskatchewan has the highest rate of intimate partner violence in the country. We also know that our very own city's Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan has identified this as an area of significant priority and something to focus on. There's a vital need for individuals fleeing domestic and intimate partner violence to have a safe landing spot. And reducing violence in our communities is a shared responsibility. We've all come together here as partners to build this community hub to serve vulnerable citizens. And to Minister Hussein's comment in terms of the turnout here, hats off to you, Regina, from the generosity of financial donors to the generosity of your time, your ideas, and the compassion with which you show our community. I just have such incredible pride about who and what our city stands for. This is going to be a place where one can receive those wraparound services that we talk about, from mental health to substance use support, but as significant as where Indigenous knowledge and cultural practices will be used to support one's healing journey. I'm going to tell you a personal story about the YWCA Regina. When I was 18 years old, my best friend was 17 years old. And I got a phone call one day that she needed some help. And her parents were very affluent. And she said, my mom is leaving this morning, getting on a bus and going to Regina. She's going to go and check into the YWCA. They have room for her to go. Her mom was suffering from domestic abuse. And she said, I need to get all my stuff out of my house. Can I come stay with you? And she was finishing up her grade 12. It's actually pretty much the anniversary is this month. And we went into her room while her dad was out, and we packed up garbage bags and threw them over a 7-foot fence on a very hot day, loaded up my car, and that was the day she moved in with me and finished grade 12 living with my parents. Her mom stayed at the YWCA for 2 years. And I drove with my friend to Regina to meet them at the YW, going through security checks. Her mom didn't feel comfortable coming outside the doors because she just didn't feel safe. And she went on to rent a place, and then she went on to own a place, to be a grandmother. My friend went on to school and to a very successful career, but it's that web of impact that those 2 years created of safe space for her mom and for my friend that allowed that success to happen. And so when Melissa came to me when I first got elected and said, how do we move this forward? I said, I don't know, but let's figure it out. So I'll thank you all again for coming today, for your generosity of spirit and finances and time. And just to the YWCA, welcome home.
Thank you, Mayor Masters, and thanks for sharing what is a very personal story and what impact the YWCA can and does have on the community. I'd like to welcome YWCA Regina CEO, Melissa Coomer-Bent.
Thank you very much, Rob and Lois, our amazing Capital Cabinet chairs. Thank you, Minister Hussein, Minister Mikowski, and Mayor Sandra Masters for your investment, your support, and for joining us here today. It is wonderful to look out and see all of these faces and all of the people that have joined us today, so thank you very much. The Centre for Women and Families is a unique and innovative shift to how we serve vulnerable and marginalized folks in our community. The project's wraparound supports will ensure that women and families have a community that works to prevent crisis, and that when crisis does happen, we'll have a place to call home and the resources needed to navigate systems of support. This project will also ensure that the YWCA and our partners have a sustainable and efficient building, and that we have the ability to continue to serve our community for another 100 years. In addition to the government support announced here today, YWCA Regina, led by the incredible talent of Chelsea Lemke, if she's standing still for 1 second, there she is, and our capital cabinet, led by Rob and Lois, have raised over $14 million. We look forward to inviting the community to join us in being here for her when we launch our public phase of our campaign later this year. This campaign will raise an additional $6 million in our community. So thank you very much, City of Regina and community, for that investment. Community is at the center of this project. Its foundation will be built on the concept that it takes a village of committed people working authentically together in order to create a healthy, just, and equitable society. I'd like to acknowledge this village today because you are the reason we are here breaking ground. The YWCA Board of Directors, YWCA staff, our partnering organizations, Regina Sexual Assault Center, Mobile Crisis, All Nations Hope Network, our transformational donors, the YWCA Capital Cabinet, members of the Cathedral community, and our community matriarchs, staff and elected officials of the Government of Canada, the Government of Saskatchewan, and the City of Regina, our architects, our engineers, our project construction management teams, and the women and families we serve. Thank you very much. No clapping for me. I've come to learn and appreciate the importance of acknowledging our ancestors and those that put this project into motion long before I walked on this earth. I know that their work and guidance is why we're able to gather and celebrate today. So I'd like to acknowledge them and thank them for setting the way, for their guidance, and for bringing us together to build the Centre for Women and Families. At our first visioning exercise in 2006, empowering home place for women, children, and those who love them. Building on our strengths together. Akamekiwak, all of you persevere. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you so much, Melissa. Melissa, you have just put hours and hours into this project. I just want to thank you for your vision and for just pursuing it with all of your heart and all of your passion and leading your amazing team. You're here.
Yeah, and I would echo that unbelievable commitment by Melissa and Chelsea, the YWCA team, and the board, and in putting this project on the map and pushing everything forward. It's been unbelievable in terms of the effort that's gone into this. I would like to, that concludes the speaking portion of the event. I'd like to open the Q&A session with members of the media. Each member of the media has the opportunity to ask one question and one follow-up question. And I'm going to get Gabriel to come up and to moderate the Q&A portion.
Afternoon, everyone. There's a microphone right over there by Chelsea. If you have any questions, please use the mic, identify yourself, your news outlet, and one question and one follow-up, please.
Long walk, sorry. Lisa Schick with 980 CJ. My question's for Melissa. This has been a long time coming. I'm just wondering how you're feeling right now with getting to put shovels in the ground.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm not entirely sure how to answer it, I'll be honest, although I did envision myself being out here by myself with a shovel. I think I threatened that a couple times to some elected officials that I'd do that if this day didn't come. So I will say I'm relieved that I'm not out here with a shovel by myself. I think particularly given the people that are here and looking around at the mass amount of support, I recognize that when you do something where community is at the base of it and you do it in consultation and you do it in the right way, good things come from that. And the representation here today is of that. It's of all of the people who had a piece of that. And so I'm forever grateful that we're here today gathering together and that there's more than just one shovel in the ground.
And just for my follow-up, can you maybe talk a little bit about how this facility is going to expand the services that you're able to provide, how it's going to maybe complement them?
Absolutely. This new facility will allow us to work with people before crisis begins. And so really looks at working with our partner organizations, bringing services under one roof to mitigate some of the challenges of navigating systems and how difficult that can be. So looking at the entire person, also bringing in the element of Indigenous ways of being and knowing and healing, so that when folks are in that space, they have their culture and access to culture as part of that. And then the rest of the community. So this will expand our ability to bring community forward. And we know that when women and children are in crisis, the sense of hope that comes from being part of a strong and vibrant community is so vitally important. And so this facility will allow us to bring community together to provide that.
Jennifer Ackerman with the Leader Post, for Melissa again.
We're super happy with this.
I'm sorry. What have you been hearing from the people who will benefit from this the most now that we're at this stage?
Thank you. I feel like that new show on Apple TV with about the soccer. What's it called? Ted Lasso. I just had this moment of Ted Lasso in a moment, so I had to say it out loud because I was feeling it. The people that we serve have been part of this project from the very beginning, and I think that their influence over it and input into what it is today and what you see today is something that they're very proud of. They are over the moon excited about being part of something different, and I think they've all experienced the difficulty that our current building and the way that we operate currently right now, the influence that has had on them. So they are ecstatic, looking forward to it. Some of them are joined us here today, and we can't wait to give them the key. Mm-hmm.
Can you also leave room for your...
That when this way of working together, wraparound services and a hub model happens, we won't need as many shelter beds, and we won't need to open up more shelter beds. And so, I think there's lots of opportunity for community organizations to continue to develop these hub models and these wraparound services. We do it in very informal ways right now, and I think that we need to continue to do that work and work closer together in those kinds of pieces. So this hopefully will be a shining example of how you can prevent people from falling into homelessness, violent situation, along with our advocacy, and we can replicate it as we move forward. Until that time, there are still needs for our shelter beds, there are still needs for our crisis services, and for our community to continue to work together, building new affordable housing through some really innovative new projects with the city and other community organizations as well.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Richard Ejikade, CBC. This is for Minister Hussein. Congratulations on your work here today. What is your ongoing strategies for addressing housing issues throughout the country? For example, Nunavut, they're heavily in need of housing. Can you elaborate a bit about how this project came to be and what your strategy is for housing for Indigenous people or all people of Canada?
How much time do you have? Because there's actually a lot of work that's being done with respect to providing more affordable housing resources from the federal government to provinces, to territorial governments, to municipalities, to nonprofits. We are really back in the affordable housing sector. We have been through the National Housing Strategy introduced in 2017, $40 billion over 10 years. Now that's grown to $72 billion. And then with Budget 2022, we've added another 14 point funding in recognition of the extra costs that are incurred by northern communities to build housing. There is distinctions-based monies that are flowing through the 3 national Indigenous organizations. There's additional amounts of money that are provided by the federal government through the bilateral agreements with Nunavut, Northwest Territories, and Yukon. There is carve-outs through the co-investment fund. There is money through the Rapid Housing Initiative. We made sure the Rapid Housing Initiative, for example, took into consideration the needs of northern rural communities. 41% of all the new housing built through the Rapid Housing Initiative going into Indigenous communities. And so there's a lot of work that's being done. There's more work that needs to be done, and we're committed to making sure that we get more money out the door through the co-investment fund. There's $2.9 billion that we're bringing forward to build 22,000 new permanently affordable homes. The list goes on and on. So we are really focused on particular vulnerable populations, one of them being women and children fleeing domestic violence. The other one is working in partnership and co-development with Indigenous peoples in Canada, closing the housing gap. $4 billion just in budget 2022. Significant amounts of money being deployed for wraparound supports, harnessing the work and leveraging the work that is being done by provincial governments like Saskatchewan. So that's what our meeting is about today and yesterday at just a few hundred meters from here. How we can work better together with Indigenous peoples to co-develop the urban, rural, and northern Indigenous housing strategy for Indigenous people who live off reserve, 80%. And so a lot of work is being done. To summarize, the federal government is back in partnership with all orders of government and Indigenous communities and governments, bringing significant resources and making sure that our policies and the national housing strategy work for all communities. So that means being flexible, listening to communities, partnering with nonprofits like the YWCA, and really being there as a partner, as a reliable, stable, predictable partner, so that you can have long-term funding to address both homelessness, but also transitional and supportive housing, affordable rent, deeply affordable housing, all the way to home ownership. We have to do all, and the Government of Canada has your back and will be a good partner moving forward. Merci beaucoup.
Mayor Matthews, I'd like to ask you a question. Yeah, congratulations again on this project. You mentioned earlier in your speech that Saskatchewan is home to a lot of rural violence. A lot of people don't understand that or know that about that. Tell me a bit about what is going on in our rural communities and how does the YWC offer an avenue of escape from rural domestic violence?
I think domestic violence is a real and present danger in all aspects of Canadian life. And I think as the capital city that serves the southern half of the province, that we have a responsibility to, as a center and a hub for healthcare, for social access to social services, access to education, post-secondary education. And I think when our community-based organizations, they don't check addresses, not the YW and not anyone else, but we have entities here in the city, like the YWCA, who serve the people experiencing the issues, and that is open and welcome to all. And so I think what's reflected in all of Saskatchewan, the statistics that I quoted, are true for all of Saskatchewan as they are within our city. And so I think as the capital city, you accept the responsibility, no different than we house the airport that serves southern Saskatchewan. We house a lot of community-based organizations, healthcare facilities and whatnot that serve well outside of our boundaries.
Questions? Okay, thank you very much.
It's my turn, right, Steve? Okay, no, you don't go. I don't think you go. Sorry. I don't think you go. Now it is my absolute honor to introduce Diane Cashwadam, our elder and matriarch who has laid the foundation along with some other incredible strong matriarchs in our community, and is a mentor of mine and someone I look to for so much guidance. Please join me in welcoming Elder Diane Cashwadam.
Tansi, Mameo Kisikau. I want to just give thanks for today to the Creator, no Tawinan, to Shamantu, for each and every one of us for being here today. And as we move forward, as we know, women and children come first. And thank you for all, for the ministers, the mayor for being here. It's a wonderful day for all the community to come together here. And for the groundbreaking, it's totally an honor, and grateful to be part of Treaty 4 territory. First Nations people have always resided in this area, the Cree, the Saulteaux, some Lakota, and now we're all one, so we need to learn to work together. The Métis, that's how they became. They became about the history. So it's a great honor for today to be here for to move forward in that initiative for women and children, for their safety and preventative measures, the programming, and of course our great community leaders, our frontline workers. We give a lot of thanks to them. And so with that, I want to say a brief prayer and we could never forget about our ancestors, because in our prayers, and we can't be without prayer. So hang on to your belief, carry on with prayer in your life, and we cannot forget about our ancestors, and ask for their guidance, because somehow we get those answers in our prayers.
Thank you, Diane, for bringing prayers to the beginning of our sod turning. I forgot to mention that was a change in program. We went from announcement to sod turning. So thank you, Diane, for bringing prayers for this very important moment. Joining our government partners, before I forget, Chelsea told me, whispered in my ear, that she wants people to know that there are hot dogs that are free. And popcorn. So please make sure that before you leave after the sod turning is over, that you grab a hot dog and popcorn for the road. Okay, back on schedule. Joining our government partners to turn sod today are the transformational lead donors to our center, and I'm so excited to have you here today. These donors not only contributed significantly to this project, they made their gifts when the building and its purpose was still only a dream and a hope for a better tomorrow. Thank you very much for believing in us. We look forward to recognizing and sharing more details about each donor individually in the coming months, so media, pay attention to that. It's coming. And as our construction gets underway. But for now, please join me in welcoming to the shovels. You folks can go to the shovels as well, if you'd like. First, I'd like to welcome Doug Rawlinson, representing the Rawlinson family and Rolco Radio. Next, I would like to introduce our very own Chelsea Lemke, our YWCA Regina Senior Director of Development for the Centre for Women and Families and Capital Campaign Director. She wrote that. That's the longest title. I've never said that out loud. And she is representing Claire Kramer, who could not be here with us today. Jennifer Denowden, our first transformational donor, President and CEO of Ivana, representing the Ivana Foundation. Neil Cooper, who is the interim CEO of Connexus Credit Union, who's representing Connexus Credit Union. Marnell Jones, the Senior Communication Manager from the Mosaic Company, representing the Mosaic Company. And Brian Cusisto, the Director, representing the Tree of Life Foundation and his family. Brian. And of course, Rob and Lois Vanderhoof, representing their personal gift and the gifts of our Capital Cabinet members as all generous lead donors. And Diane Cashwadam, if she is there.
She's here, yeah.
She's there, perfect. And Diane Cashwadam, our elder and matriarch from Piapot First Nation. As we go to do the shovel, I'm not sure how this works, I'll be honest. I don't know, but we are going to invite the Willow Warriors, a group of incredible women in our community, to sing us a song of gratitude and hope for new beginning. And then when they're finished, we will shovel.
And facing the crowd. Oh, I was talking about the shovel people. See what I need to do?
Come on in, folks. Yeah, we have lots. Come on down.
Someone count them down.
Yes, we got anybody have shovels?
3, 2.
Okay, so foot on.
Oh, foot on. Oh, goodness.
Woo!
Can I get one more? Yeah. One more. Everyone hold their shovel and look up and perhaps smile. There we go. Oh, I didn't say that, but go for it if you want to. There we go. And looking right here, please. Thank you. Beautiful. Lovely. Thank you so much. I'll do that next time.
of a card because we're looking to get someone to film some footage at a conference, and I thought if you do this as a profession. I work at the Y. You work at the Y, okay. Well, good job.
You